just kick it off. Oh.
And I am on YouTube right now as well. So
all right, just out here.
Come on, at least I can see the comments as well. So
we out here, man. This is great.
Yeah, look, long-term subscriber. Hey.
Yeah. So welcome everybody to the Millionaire Talk Show. My name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Todd Millionaire, and really doing some cool things. I like the fact we're able to go live and bring on guests like almost every day. So I don't want to take this opportunity to be fully self-employed and working for myself for granted. So we got to 10x the content and get as much content out as possible and not take this opportunity for granted. There's so much time and opportunity to be creating and building. Whereas back in the day, if I want to be doing a podcast at 10 o'clock in the morning, it probably wouldn't happen. Have to fit it into lunch breaks. I remember I used to fit in. I remember one time I was recording a podcast after the office closed and I never keyed to the office. And so they're like, you got to go. And I was like mid podcast. So,
wow.
Yeah, shout out to progress, you guys. We've actually been doing this podcast for 5 years, which somebody just reminded me of. We started this podcast when I first got married, which was in 2010, I think. No, not 2010. Well, what year was that?
I have to say
5 years.
2015, maybe 2017.
2017. Such a random year because I graduated law school the same year. But anyway, great things have been happening. And I've known Cheree for a little bit. She kind of came through Erica Williams. And we're working on some projects. We actually went half on a course, which is really funny. It's funny because somebody just asked me about that course. And I was telling them about the trucking course. I was like, well, I actually partnered with somebody on that course. And like, who does that? Like, I don't know you personally, but we just out there just partnering on content, and if I ever needed the login, you gave me the login. So it's cool that she is around. We've connected. I don't know if we got the chance to meet in person.
Yeah, in DC when you came with Erica for the Classy Climb, you and your beautiful mother.
Yeah, my mom was there.
Yes.
So we're here to talk about the 10K project, which is something that she has been building for some time and she's passionate about. And it's interesting because she emailed me and I thought we scheduled this and we probably did. And I probably just missed the time. And so she emailed me again. She's very persistent, you guys. So take a key from that. I was like, man, I'm glad that she's persistent because when you have people who are doing as much as what we're doing, if somebody's not persistent, you're going to forget about them. And it's not because you don't want to work with them. It's just, I'm doing 80 million. And even now I'm thinking about a million different things I got to get going on. So shout out to her for that. Welcome to the show. Can you introduce yourself for the guests?
Thank you. So, hey, everybody. My name is Cheree of the 10K Project. The 10K Project is the largest community of investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses, and the minimum investment is oftentimes $100. So imagine Black Shark Tank. That's who we are, except you get to be the investor instead of Kevin O'Leary and Damon John and those other guys. So today we're here to talk a little bit about the 10K Project, the work that we've been doing, how we got started, where we're going, anything else that Charles wants to throw at me. And most importantly, I would encourage everybody who believes in the power of Black business, but understands that we are the least funded group out there, yet there was a Morgan Stanley report that said that when our businesses are properly funded, we make just as much money as any other ethnically founded group out there. If we don't believe in ourselves and if we don't start putting money up for ourselves, then nobody else is going to do it. And one last thing, Charles, there was a report recently, I think it was in the Journal, Wall Street Journal, that said that there was an uptick because of George Floyd, but now the money is starting to recede and go back to other communities and other places. So all of the upticks that we got a couple of years ago, a lot of that money is starting to be pulled back from us, and it's time for us to step up and start investing in ourselves.
Interesting. So give us a little bit of background about you. Who are you?
Sure. Well, I am from Louisiana. Originally, I came to the DC area because I thought I wanted to be in politics and discovered my first semester in college that I hated politics. So I got into business instead. And over the years, I ended up becoming a bookkeeper in my mother's business. She and I ran a bookkeeping business, did very well with it. One day she comes to me and says, Cheree, I want to get a bank loan and I need a business plan. Since you have the master's degree in business, you write the business plan. And that was all she told me. Long story short from that, I wrote a business plan and the bank said it was one of the best business plans they had ever read. So I thought I was done. I had the typical mother who starts telling everybody that her daughter is brilliant and that, you know, she wrote this great business plan for me, and other people started asking me to write their business plans for them. And since 2011, that's what I've been doing. I've been writing business plans for people and helping people raise capital.
Wow. Which is interesting because it seems like those skills go hand in hand with what you're doing with the 10K project.
Yeah, it actually was what started the 10K project, because I would have people from all ethnicities asking me to write business plans, all industries, sizes of businesses, things like that. Our counterparts were able to take my business plan, go present it to their frat brothers or their rich aunt, true story, or any number of people, and raise $600,000 at a dinner. And unfortunately, my Black clients didn't have those networks. And because of that, they had a much more difficult time raising money if they were able to do it at all. And I saw the surgence and resurgence of We Buy Black. And I said, you know what? If we're buying Black, maybe we would invest Black too. And at the same time, there was something that came out by President Obama called the Jobs Act of 2012. And part of that was something called equity crowdfunding. Now, before this law, if you were not a rich person, the fancy term for it is accredited. If you weren't an accredited person, then oftentimes you were not able to invest in startups. And the rich get richer because they're investing in Silicon Valley, because they're investing with Harvard students and MIT students and things like that. They're building these portfolios and they are cashing out when these companies become Airbnb, Uber, all sorts of companies that are on the stock exchange or being sold to big companies like Facebook or Google. Well, now we're able to do the same thing, and it's through equity crowdfunding. It allows a whole bunch of people to get together, put in small dollars. We're able to fund our own businesses and watch them grow. And then be able to cash out, whether they go on the stock exchange or they're sold or they just start giving us dividends. So that's the whole idea of equity crowdfunding.
Yeah, I like it. And it's really interesting because a lot of people, when they think of like crowdfunding, they think of crowdfunding their own business, but you guys crowdfunded the fund to then invest in people's businesses.
No, we don't actually. So
how does that work?
That's a misconception. So what we do is something called a Bet on Black pitch, where an entrepreneur, every week we feature an entrepreneur who comes and pitches, similar to Shark Tank, in front of our community. And then each individual investor gets to decide if they want to invest in that business. So what we do is not a fund. It really is just an opportunity to see some of the phenomenal businesses that Black people are starting, growing. We're going to be buying businesses. We're actually in the process of going through that right now. And then we as a community also gets to decide, like each individual investor gets to decide, hey, I like business number one. Number two, no, that one's not for me. I don't want that one in my portfolio for whatever
Mm.
reason. And then you get to decide every week and you're able to build a portfolio of the businesses that you want to have.
So the businesses that come onto your onto your platform, do they pay a fee to participate, or how does that work?
Yes, so we do charge a nominal fee for them to come and present on our platform in front of our investors. We also train our investors as well. And as anyone knows, the hardest thing to do for any business is to find investors. So the law has it set up. So first of all, equity crowdfunding is governed by the Securities and Exchange Commission and FINRA, which is the Financial Industry Regulation Authority. I think I have it right, but it's FINRA. So it's controlled by the government. And one of the things that the government does not allow a lot of people to do is actually go out and promote equity crowdfunding to the masses. So our counterparts again are, they already have their networks, but within the Black community, we need to be at the HBCUs talking about this. We need to be in the churches talking about what we're able to do, with various social media influencers like you talking about what we're doing within equity crowdfunding and educating people. And the 10K project is really meant to help those entrepreneurs be able to bring together investors with entrepreneurs that have great ideas and great businesses that they're building.
So really what you guys have created is like the rich aunt network.
Yes.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yes.
So instead of them having to go pitch and go find, they come to you and you guys have already done that work for them.
Yes.
Got
And
it.
what we do is, like, with the people who are here today watching or listening on the podcast or, things like that, you say, hey, you know what? I want to come into the 10K project. And instead of you, like, there are 70 plus equity crowdfunding portals out there. So there are deals all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
However, with the 10K project, what we do is we curate all of those deals and we bring these founders to you. And that way you don't have to go looking on every single portal to see who the Black founders are and what they're doing. No, now you're able to get that information in your email, and you're able to come and hear once a week one of the founders come and present what they're doing, and then be able to ask them questions, get a good feel for them. Are they the type of leader you want to invest in? Do they have the type of business you want to invest in? What are their plans? How are they going to exit? How do we get our money back? Things like that.
Mm-hmm. What are some common misconceptions that people might have about equity crowdfunding or even investing in a Black small business like startup?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the biggest misconceptions is you're going to get your money back tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. Even professional investors, our counterparts, know that it's anywhere from 7 to 10 years. So this is long-term investing. The other thing is you really want to build a portfolio of companies if you want to maximize your potential earnings. If you just invest in one or two companies, you are not likely to do as well as if you invest in 50 to 100 companies. In fact, there's a book by Jason Calacanis, who is a well-known angel investor, who said really the threshold is 100 companies. Once you've built a portfolio like that, then you really do get to see your earnings maximized. But Charles, there's statistics that have been done that have shown annual ROI of anywhere from 25% to 47% within this asset class. So if you're looking at, for example, tax liens, you're looking at stock investing, private investing, like these are the things that are beating inflation. And this is one of the other reasons why this is one of my favorite asset classes as well, is we not only get to help Black businesses, but we also get to participate in the rewards if and when that company does well.
Yeah, yeah. Why the name 10K Project?
For years, I was saying to a group of people, if 10,000 of us came together and we each put in $100, that's $1,000,000. We can raise money for our own companies and we can, fund our own businesses and profit from our own innovation. We don't need the banks. We don't need, to ask Andreessen Horowitz. That's like a really big venture capital firm or any of these other firms. We can start funding ourselves. So the 10K project came from that whole concept of 10,000 people times $100 per person is $1,000,000 to fund a business.
It's interesting because it's really that simple. It's just math.
Yeah, it's just math. You say that all the time.
Yeah.
That is just math at the end of the day.
What concerns me is that we spend so much, like we always get on here. I know recently there's that article talking about how Black spending power went up, but Black wealth did not increase.
Yes.
And a lot of it is just like the information we're feeding ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we would have been taught that if we could use the same money that we're using to go and make Gucci wealthier and make Bernard Arnault wealthier by buying Hennessy, buying Louis, buying all that stuff, we can build the same wealth. It's just taking the money from this pile and putting it into another pile. It's
I think that it's important for us to study how the wealthy invest. In fact, I had you come on for one of my series, with regards to that. Like, what are they actually putting their money into and why? And I think that we need to. I think more Black Americans are waking up based on the amount of traction that, we're seeing with Erica Williams, for example, or you, or, Wall Street Trapper. Like, I think the Black people are waking up, but I still think that there's a lot more education and a lot more game that we need to learn as well, especially with the ever-changing market, and global market that we have. I don't know how old you are. I'm 46. So when I was growing up, my only competition was the person sitting next to me in school. Now, for your son, for example, his competition is the kid in India, the kid in China. Now they're investing in Africa. So even as African Americans, there's a shift in the investments that are happening with us and with our kids. So your son, for example, and anybody right now, like the competition is global, but also the market is global as well. And Dr. Claude Anderson of Powernomics talks about the fact that we need to learn how to buy from each other and sell to everybody. Mm-hmm. And I would say that we need to learn how to build tribes amongst each other of like-minded people and say, we are going to figure out how to build businesses, how to own supply chains, and how to dominate some facets of the market, just like our counterparts are doing. In order to build wealth.
Yeah. How long has the 10K project been around?
So we have been doing Ben on Black pitches since March of last year. So it's close to our year anniversary. We started a year before then, planning and surveying people and things like that. But we've been doing pitches for about a year. Last year, we raised over $325,000 for people. And that was like a survey that we did. So we believe we did even better than that. And we're just beginning. It may not sound like a lot of money, but to the entrepreneurs that we helped, and for saying that we just got started, we did well. And we have more and more people now. We have venture capitalists who are starting to say, hey, I've heard of the 10K project, or, angel investors and groups of angel investors and things like that. So,
do you have partners, or is this just are you mostly the person who's running this thing?
So I have one partner. Her name is Tawana Rivers, and she is the one that finds and curates all of the businesses that comes and does the pitching. She's a chief operations officer. She does a lot more than that, but that's like her big thing. And then I'm responsible for membership growth. So for finding those investors
Yeah.
and also finding angel investors and VCs that we can align with as well. So
What's cool is you're so young. I
Thanks.
thought you've been doing this for like 4 to 5 years, and
Uh-uh.
you started it about a year ago,
Mhm.
and to have funded over $250,000 just in that first year is impressive, especially now that you're getting the looks of people who do this for a living, the VCs, the angels. So it's like I can only imagine where you'll be in 5 years. But what's also cool is you have like a division of roles amongst your
Yeah,
partner. So it allows
yeah.
you to be really, 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 really good at what you're doing, which allows your
Mhm.
company to have the best of that. And then it allows your partner to do what she does really, really well. And so then the business gets the best and you guys can go forward that way instead of trying to be the
Yeah.
jack of all trades.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. If you try to be the jack of all trades, trust me, I've been there. So we do. We also have a couple of other people, and we even actually have a little bit more division of labor. Like I right now, because I really like YouTube and LinkedIn, and I know those platforms well, I'm focused on growing those platforms. And one of our other people in our marketing group is really focused on Instagram and Twitter because that's what she does really well. So we even have different people, doing certain outreach on different social platforms.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I will say one thing, going back to something that you had said about 5-year goals. So our goal is to be able to help a business raise $5 million in 48 hours just through the network of the 10K project. Why 5 million? Because that is the maximum right now that the law allows. But what Tawana and I both believe is that if we're able to do that enough times, our counterparts will really begin to see Black businesses as a viable option for funding. Um, and we still would hope that those Black businesses would say, yeah, we want to at least invite our people to be able to participate um, in purchasing shares of our companies very early on. Um, but we do see that. The other thing that we get to do, Charles, and I'm sure you're familiar with this. Let's say you have a tech company and you are looking for funding. Well, there are different levels or rounds of funding. And a lot of our people don't necessarily have the $50,000 it takes or the $250,000 it takes in order to create a beta product. Well, I was on the phone yesterday with the VC who said, if you and your community are able to fund the beta products and help the entrepreneurs get those up and running, revenue generating, then we're able to come on. And this was a Black VC that was talking to me. We're able to come on and do the follow-up rounds of funding, help these people get board members, help these people get their team structure set up, et cetera. So we don't even have to do it all, within the 10K project. We get these businesses started going, et cetera. And we have Black VCs who were able to take the ball and take it to the end zone.
That's cool because it seems like you guys are just like the beginning for them. You're not the end all be all, but you can help
Yeah.
them get to where they really want to go.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean,
Whereas before
look,
they were probably shut out from even getting there because, like you said, they couldn't afford to even get to the table.
exactly. You can't, if you can't. So, a lot of people, and this came from my business plan writing days, a lot of people weren't able to raise money because they didn't have a functioning beta product or they didn't have any kind of revenues or something they called product market fit, which means proven that people would actually pull their credit cards out and pay for whatever it is you're offering. Well, our counterparts were able to go and get the $600,000 they needed to do all of that, and then go and raise another 10 million or another 100 million on top of that, and then end up with $1 billion valuation. A lot of times we weren't able to do that until now.
So are you able to bring in other people within your network who can even help them build that business? Or is that not even where you guys want to go?
Yeah, so we have like a triangle of people we really want to bring together. The first are the entrepreneurs, the second are the investors, and the third are experts. But guess what? All of us are experts. So I might not just be an investor in a business, but I could help them with their financials as well. Or you could say, hey, with regards to the law, blah, blah, blah. So, there's this common thought that we need like other people in order to get our businesses up, running, and successful. My whole point is, hey, let's use the network itself in order to help each other, grow, expand, et cetera, with money and with other resources. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, one of our founders that raised money came back to us and asked if we could help him find a chief revenue officer from within our network. He had raised enough money in order to be able to hire this person full time. Well, we know that that type of talent is within the community. We just need to build the infrastructure in order for us to easily say, hey, XYZ company needs a chief revenue officer, go here in order to apply.
That's interesting. So how does somebody become a member of the 10K Project?
So it's simple. You go to the10kproject.com, the10kproject.com. You can read all about us on the website, how it works. If you're an entrepreneur that wants to potentially raise money, there's a page on the website for you. And then ultimately, if you decide you want to become a member, it's very easy. You'll see the membership button there, and it's a one-time payment of $100 to be a member. Now, I will say that price is going up. So, no pressure, but a little bit of pressure that if you want to get in at that early bird pricing, then please do that. But really, thank you, Jarash. Jarash just said, just join the 10K Project. Thank you so much. But we have phenomenal companies that come on and have come on. Just a couple of days ago, we have a group of Black men that are putting together a football association, and they've raised over $1 million. Cool. We've had people come on. One of the other people that came on has product in Macy's and did not have issues with the supply chain. And she talked about all of that, how she got into Macy's and things like that. We've had people that have graphic novels come on and talk about how they're putting together their graphic novels and things like that. We have so many just great businesses. Some of them are startups, some of them are growing, some of them have revenues, some don't. But every week you see brilliance. You really, really do. So
that's interesting. What does a member get?
Okay. So they get a few things. The first thing is you get to participate in the Bet on Black pitches. So you're able to come to the pitch live, hear what the entrepreneur of the week is doing, ask your questions, hear the other questions that the participants are asking as well, and then decide if you want to invest in that business. The second thing you get is a curated list of all of the Bet on Black pitches that we have had. So let's say you join today. Every Monday and Thursday, we send out that list. So on Monday, you would get that listing of all of the open campaigns that there are. And there are probably now, I don't know, about 20 or so that are still open. 15, 20, something like that. So you're able to go back, hear the Bet on Black pitches for all of those companies, and click on the buttons of the ones that you want to invest in and start building your portfolio. You also get to join our knowledge center, which has a lot of training in there, not just about equity crowdfunding, but about wealth building as well. And you get to add yourself to our expert directory. So let's say you are a carpenter in Philadelphia, you get to add your information in there, no extra charge. And if there's somebody within the network that needs your services, they're able to go into that expert directory, put in a couple of keywords and reach out to you directly. Yeah, those are the member benefits. I was trying to think if there was anything else, but those are the member benefits.
Success stories from the 10K project. It's still a young company.
Yes.
But have you guys had any that stand out so far?
Yeah, we have a couple. So one of the things that we tell entrepreneurs is you never know who is listening into the Bet on Black pitches. So one of the companies was a tech company that came on, and they, are doing phenomenal things with audio devices. And one of the 10K project members was so moved by his presentation, the Bet on Black pitch, that he went, talked to a few friends, and raised an additional $35,000 from about 4 or 5 friends for that specific entrepreneur. We have had people who just have been inspired as well by some of the entrepreneurs that have come on. Some of the Bet on Black pitches have inspired some of the kids of the members that we have had. We have one of the entrepreneurs, they have, like I said, a graphic novel. And, it was something that was inspiring for not only the adults, but also the kids in the audience as well. So you get to see Black excellence every single week. I don't know, I'm always amazed by the success stories, by people who are working together. We connect some entrepreneurs with other entrepreneurs. We're still young in the game, so ask us again next year. We'll probably have more, but I think that the things we've done thus far have been very successful, considering we're less than a year old.
What keeps you going?
Oh goodness, really, and you can kind of probably relate to this. You have so many people looking up to you and saying, yeah, I know you can do it, or you say you want to do something and people will email you and say, I can help you with that. Or, I had a couple of weeks ago said that I wanted either Serena Williams or LeBron James to be our spokesperson. And someone from our community said, well, I can't get you that, but I can get you this other celebrity if you'd like, I think what keeps me going is knowing how effective we are and knowing what a great community we have, how people come together. Because you keep hearing this, Black people can't work together. And I just am not experiencing that. Now I will repel anybody who is not about anything. But I think what keeps me going is that I see where we can be if we come together. And I see it like every week, and I'm just always inspired by that.
Yeah. What is something that happened that you didn't expect in starting this project?
How many non-Black people want to help on an individual basis, and they don't want to be known. They will say, we want to help, but we don't want our name anywhere. And it's not because they're trying to duck and hide. It's just because they want to help, Right. So I will say that. And
but would you say that there are people who aren't Black who are willing to help, even if that's not the condition upon them helping?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too.
Absolutely. I think that we have more allies than we think, but I think that a lot of people don't
Mm,
know how to help.
yeah.
And one of the things that I think the 10K project does is it gives a very tangible way of helping. If now I'm not getting political with BLM, oh, hey, Erica, she's in the chat. I'm not getting political with BLM, but a lot of people are like, well, we don't know where the money is going, right? But with the 10K project, you're not like putting even money into a fund. You get to come to the Bet on Black pitch and get to invest directly in the company. So you can, and then you're able, because the companies give updates either on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, you're able to see, okay, I put $250 into that company. How is that company doing? We've had companies that have said, oh, we're doing a live event if people want to come, or we're having this grand opening or whatever. So you can actually see like what's happening with your investment. And I think going back to your question, I think it's just a more tangible yet easy way for people to help.
Yeah. What I like about it is, and I want people to take this, absolutely support what they have going on, but take the principle away, in that they saw an issue and they built something.
Mhm.
And that's so important, because a lot of us just specialize in pointing at issues. And if you just point at an issue, then you run into this situation where they don't know how to help you, or they don't know where they can kind of pitch in. So it's like, build something that somebody can participate in, and you will be surprised. Like I said, there is a restaurant in Watts, and the predominant amount of people that would come and support that business were Hispanics and white folks. And you would never know. So don't sit around waiting for everybody around you to get it. Just start building, and you're going to grow. And they're only a year old and they've already built this. So I think that's really cool. What is one piece of advice you would give to somebody who is starting a business and wants to seek funding?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say the first thing is to, crazy as it sounds, maybe uh, listen to a lot of podcasts, talk to people, figure out how people receive funding, when they receive funding. I hate to say figure out the game, but it really is that. You have to figure out the game and figure out how you position yourself to win. So I'll give you an example. I, within my business plan writing company, would have people constantly call me saying, I want a bank loan. I want a bank loan, Cheree. And I would say, okay, well, tell me about your business. And they would have these businesses where they wouldn't get their first dollar in the door for the next 2 years. And I would have to say to them, you don't qualify for a bank loan, because the bank wants to know that you're going to make money on day one and you're going to be able to pay the loan back. you know so I would say get educated with regards to the funding options that are out there and which ones work best for you and the type of business that you have.
I think that's so smart, because a lot of people, that's what they do, is they have a great idea, this great
Mhm.
business idea, and they're like, well, bank's never going to give me any money, so I'm just going to quit. Or bank's never going to give me any money, so that means they don't like black people. And I think they don't know what's how it works.
Yeah,
And
that's
so it's like, when you have
true.
a startup idea, you got to go to places that fund startups.
Yes, yes. And I will say another thing as well. Not every startup needs funding. I have spoken to numerous people where I'm like,
Agreed.
all you need is some flyers and go walk up and down your neighborhood and start making money. Or now you got the internet, right? You can go into some chat groups, you could start a YouTube page, a Facebook group, whatever, and start, the part of it is that it does take a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. And even, myself right now, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to like kick up what I'm doing times three in order for us to reach our year two goals. But a lot of times what's missing, and not just with Black people, just startup businesses in general, is enough doing and doing the right stuff. having enough inertia in your business in order to get it moving.
Agreed. I like that statement. Every business doesn't need funding. And I think that is so key because that's how I've built everything. I didn't go out there and I didn't get $1 million loan. I didn't go seek startup funding. I didn't seek any of that stuff. I just started grinding. And what I've found is sometimes your best investor is your customer.
That is true.
So what you got to do is just reinvest. Don't be going and buying Gucci, Louis, Fendi.
No, no. And it's really funny because I've had people come to me who have said, Cheree, I've got this business, it's up and running. And one of my customers came to me and said they want to invest, but they want to see a business plan first because they willing to put $500,000 in, right? Well, let me tell you that along with Aunt Sally, that's the easiest checks to get because people will already see that you're moving. You already have something going. You already have revenues coming in, and now you're able to take their $500,000 and grow the business exponentially. Take that $500,000 and grow it to a $20 million business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in a founder? Like, what sparks your interest?
Well, personally, I like somebody who has a lot of stick-to-itiveness, who's able to get through the hard times. Because as you know, and I definitely know, being a business owner is not easy. It's very hard. And unlike having a job, there's nobody standing over you saying, do this, do that, you got to do this, you got to do that. The other thing that I like is a decisive person. You want to do your research, definitely. But once you decide on something, you have a plan and you stick to it until you have done it sufficiently enough to determine that it's not going to work. I think a lot of times, a lot of entrepreneurs, like they'll come up with, I'm going to do this. Let's take YouTube. I'm going to, start a YouTube channel. Well, the best YouTube channels, they are putting content out daily, let's say, right? Well, I put content out for 3 days and then I stop. Well, it's not going to work like that.
We've been at this for 5 years, y'all.
Yes, but what happens is everything is a snowball in business, and a lot of times things are like this. So I apologize if anybody's just listening to an audio podcast, but things are like slow, and all of a sudden they spike up. Well, why do they spike up? It's because the right person saw you and all of a sudden they tweeted about you or mentioned you in an IG live or something like that, and you get this rush of people. Well, why did that happen? Most likely because the person has been watching you for the past year and they're like, that Charles, he really grinds. I like him. He's not going to stop no matter what. And that's what I like within, the founders that I'm personally looking at. And I have to also like the product and believe that the product is something that that's going to sell in the marketplace. There are some entrepreneurs that I've liked and I haven't liked their products. There are some products, there's actually one specifically I'm thinking of that I really like the product, but I was like, but I don't believe in parts of the strategy that they presented. Wasn't that, now doesn't mean it was a bad business. It just wasn't for me in my portfolio where I'm like, I don't think that strategy is going to work. So, but the one great thing about that entrepreneur was that person was very determined. Like, no, this is a strategy we're following. And I did appreciate that about her.
I think what's really interesting is the businesses are kind of in line. Are you still doing the business plan business?
I am, but I take limited clients.
Yeah.
But I do, yeah.
But what's also cool is you probably identified the need through working with your business clients.
Absolutely. I wouldn't have known that this was a need had it not been for my business plan clients, because it wasn't the business plans that was the issue. It was that they just didn't have the networks. And starting to build networks from scratch, the people that I've seen do it, especially the Black people, they spend about 5 years building their networks before they actually start raising money.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have a friend and he's kind of in this space a little bit. And his tweet, he posted something. He's like, usually when you go to like, you have an idea, you want to go talk to a VC because you're like, I got to go talk to a VC. What do they tell you? They say, go talk to your friends and family. You're like,
Mhm.
what friends and what family?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Like,
because they're used to telling this to other people who have friends and family, or
true
who
that.
went to a certain school, they're in a certain club or
So it makes
fraternity or
sense to them.
something
And
like
actually,
that, but they have some.
actually a valid statement to make to that kind of a
Mhm.
person.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not all racism. Now, I'm not saying that there's no racism, because I've heard some stories where I'm like, ooh, But I will say, as Black founders, and this is some of the prejudice that we just have to deal with, is if a white person has to talk to 100 people, you may have to talk to 300 to get the same amount of money. One of the things that I encourage people to do is bake that into the process.
Mm,
Just like if you are looking for a job as a Black person, you may have to put out 3 times the resumes and go on 3 times the number of jobs to get to get a job. You just have to bake that in.
yeah.
Um, you know.
I guess that's why I stopped applying for jobs because I wasn't about to do that. And that's why I don't do business where I got to raise a bunch of money. But I am looking to do some larger hotel deals, so it might actually make sense to go that route. Do you guys work with people who do real estate investing, or is it just
We
strictly
absolutely do. We've had a
really?
couple of people come on with real estate deals, and we have
Mm,
a Black-owned platform now that is talking to us about us doing more real estate deals.
yeah.
So, look, our goal is to build this up so much that we have more than one pitch per week, and people are
Yeah.
able to have you know real estate deals, tech companies, businesses that we're buying, all sorts of stuff that they get to choose from. And they're like, oh, I could put 200 on that, or I could put
Yeah.
500 on that, et cetera. So, yeah.
So, man, I want to make sure I don't forget this question because I want to ask you about buying a business, but I also want to ask you about how important is it to have an idea that people can get excited about and people can rally around?
I think it's important, but I think it's a little overrated sometimes, because sometimes, and Erica, I'm glad that she's here because she'll probably nod to this. Sometimes the most lucrative businesses and deals are the most boring ones.
Mm.
The ones you're like, oh, really? Oh, but that's the one where the cash register just keeps churning out the money. And sometimes the flashiest ideas, if it doesn't have the right team behind them, then you could, it may not be the best thing.
That's good information. That's good
Yeah.
information. So don't build the sexy hotel, build the commuter hotel. That makes sense.
Build the hotel with the right location that's going to have the right people. Like, if you told me, for example, I'm not telling you to do this, but if you told me, Cheree, the reason why this hotel is, the best for us is because it's located right next to XYZ company, and every year they have, a third of their workforce coming in and doing, long-term stay. Like, I'm like, ooh, okay.
Mm.
I don't care if it's the Waldorf,
Right, right, right.
because they're gonna need a place to stay, and your hotel is gonna be the most convenient for them. So,
Facts. So buying a business, this is something I'm really interested in doing. How does the 10K project and buying a business go together?
sure. So, We have actually different masterminds as well. And one of them is our business mind mastermind. It's run by a guy named Curtis Witt. And he has started teaching some of our members how to buy businesses. Within the equity crowdfunding, you are able to find businesses and then go through equity crowdfunding in order to raise the money in
What?
order to purchase them.
That's crazy. Hold on. All right. It seems like equity crowdfunding is the solution to everything, at least in the
Yeah, I
beginning,
think it
because
is.
a lot of us have these grand ideas and we're just like at a loss because it's so big. How do we get to the goal? If, I mean, it's just little old us, no friends, no family, but it's like we could be doing all these really cool things.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think so within our community, there are very few Robert F. Smiths, right? Or people who, have a ton of money. But there are a lot of us who have little bits of money. And we're able to then, with the buying businesses, one of my big visions is for us to, I don't know how many businesses are expected. We know there's a $68 trillion wealth transfer that's going to be happening in the next 20 years. There's going to be probably tens of thousands of great businesses that are for sale. Why don't we develop some sort of a search committee, go out there, find these businesses, negotiate them, bring them to the community and say, hey, everybody, we just negotiated this business for $3 million and we're going to need another million of working capital, who wants in, and then when we get that business, then that business has been around for 15 years. Well, now it's a Black owned business. We can go after government contracts, we can get minority certifications. We can do all sorts of
That's
stuff
interesting.
with these businesses. So we started working with Curtis Witt because he's starting off with professional service companies, so massage uh, therapists and nails and
I need a
beauty
massage.
salons and things like that. But even he has worked on some higher end stuff as well.
Yeah.
And then we have a guy coming in May, a guy named Joe Anderson, who has done $1.6 billion in acquisitions. So I'm kind of priming the pump for people to really kind of get into this thought of, okay, how do we not just start businesses, but how do we buy them as well?
Yeah. Man, it's interesting because all these ideas that I've had that I've been kind of sitting on is like equity crowdfunding. I would never think to just take a large real estate transaction like, hey, guys, we're gonna buy some apartment complexes, or hey, we're gonna do all these things. The same stuff the Grant Cardone be doing, we could be doing.
Same thing he does. You know who did it though was Chris Senegal.
He
So
did.
Chris Senegal did that. He did equity crowdfunding. Buy the Block was started by Lynn. Oh, I'm forgetting her last name, Lynn, though. And
Yeah.
Buy the Block had a whole bunch of real estate transactions on there. There are equity crowdfunding sites that are just for real estate
For just for real
deals.
estate. But I didn't know that you could cross over. I thought it had to be a real estate equity crowdfunding platform for you to do real estate deals, but it's not the case.
No,
That's so
no,
interesting.
it's just that a lot of equity crowdfunding platforms these days will niche. So some will niche in biotech or
Yeah.
regular tech or real estate, etc. But there are three, sorry, Black-owned equity crowdfunding platforms that are out there, and they're able to take all sorts of projects.
Yeah. What's cool about what you're doing is I've heard you mention this a few times. You were saying like people can invest like $250.
Yeah, so the minimum amount is set by the entrepreneur. So oftentimes the minimums are $100
Wow.
for an investment. Yes.
But
So,
people wouldn't think you could do something like that. And they also wouldn't think that you could raise big money with such small increments.
but 10,000 people, $100 each is $1 million. And
Exactly.
what we've discovered is a lot of a lot of us have more than $100 to put into a campaign. When we did our survey and we had people tell us how much they were putting into this campaign, that campaign, a lot of the numbers were higher than we expected per
Yeah.
person. And we've just like scratched the surface.
Right.
So, one of the things we're doing is we're going to start targeting some of those higher earning people in our community or higher earning allies. And really, our goal over the next 2 years is to build the strongest network of people who want to invest Black.
The thing about it, for those listening, I'm going to make a bold statement. And the statement is this, that pretty much all of our problems could be solved if we just brought our resources together and started doing projects together.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that's interesting, and one of the things I was going to say before we got here, is if you look at like other communities, that's how they're built up. They didn't get, for the most part, they're not getting a check from the government. They're not getting government assistance. They're not getting all these different things. They just said, hey, fam, we need to bring our money together. We need to keep our money together. We need to cycle our money amongst each other. And people will always hear me say that, and they just kind of shrug it off. But it's like, I've been working in wealth management since I graduated from college. So I got out of college, worked at Edward Jones, worked at Chase, worked for a family office. And so my access to wealth has just grown. But one thing that I've seen that's always been the same is they keep it in-house. They work together, they hire each other, they invest in each other, they make it easier on each other. And like I tell people, I'm not trying to take anything from you. I'm trying to give something to you. So she's not trying to take anything from you. She's actually trying to give something to you, because as we create more successful businesses, then people have better job opportunities. People have more people who can invest back. Because if you create a successful business, now you can become somebody who has the discretionary income to invest back into other people's projects. So the person you invest in could eventually be an investor in something else for that community. So we really got to be conscious about the opportunity that we have with all these new laws changing and the ability to participate even on a small level. And that's what I like about what you're doing is most people, it's $1,000 minimum, but we know statistically, most people don't have a discretionary $1,000. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck, but most people can sacrifice going out to eat one weekend to invest. Most people can sacrifice that extra pair of shoes to go invest. The $1,000 hump can make it difficult for people to get into, and then maybe they just might have rejected. Even if they could get the 1,000, it's still like a leap. Most people don't invest like that.
And
but
look, I can understand that. I don't personally put $1,000 into any individual thing at one time. But $100, even once a month, supporting one program or one entrepreneur is definitely doable, which is why we wanted to have it like this. And oftentimes, let's say you only have enough for one campaign a month, you will be trying to figure out, I really like these three. Which one am I going to invest in? Because there's so much opportunity out there. So
I like it. It makes it a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I noticed that when my products were priced at like a higher level, people had to think about it. When I brought it down to a normal level, it was a no-brainer. People are just like, of course I'll pay that. And then you realize like a lot of people making that of course decision becomes a lot of money. And so we don't have to tax everybody. We just got to get a little piece of something from somebody or from everybody. A little piece of something from everybody makes us a lot of money. So, man, really good conversation. I hope you guys got a lot. And honestly, I think we could talk business and crowdfunding and the different things that are popping up more often. So we should make it a point to do that and talk about the different projects you guys are working on, give them some exposure, and hopefully continue to create that conversation going. Because I think media matters, and what we put in people's faces, they're going to start to kind of change their mindset. So the more they see it, the more they hear about it, the more they see the benefits of doing it, the more common it will become. Because everybody, they be selling drugs because 50 Cent make 80 million shows about selling drugs, fam.
I agree with that. I think that we need more representation. And when I say we, I mean like, professional out there on the grind, doing our thing. And I think that we have the ability to change the community. So with that, I thank you so much. Definitely want to come back anytime you'll have me.
We'll make it happen. Where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they support what you have going on?
Yes. So we are on all social media, Black 10K Project on all social media, even TikTok. And then the10kproject.com for the website if you want to find out more and you want to join us.
I like it.
Thank you.
I'll have all their information in the show notes. And we're going to get her back because we got more to talk about. I got more questions to ask her. But until next
we got to
time,
get
you
these real
guys,
estate deals going.
right, do some real fun stuff. So yeah, another episode of Millionaire Talk Show. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We're doing like a bunch of shows. I'm trying to do a show a day. So I did a show yesterday. You guys check that out. I did a show before the day before that, I think. Check that out. We got a show today. I'm going to be recording some more with Marquise Robinson in about an hour. So we're going to continue to bring you this Black Wealth content and build out this Black Wealth network. So she can have her Black Wealth portal. I'm going to have a Black Wealth content and media network. We just all be helping each other in one hand, helping the next. Make sure you guys support our products, man. It's Freedom Friday, so I got the Freedom Pack sale today. Click the link in the bio for that. It's the only link that I have there. So take advantage of that while you can. It's limited to 25, and right now, the one has already been sold, so there's limited to 24 now. But other than that, we're just going to continue to give you guys the game. Another episode of the Millionaire Talk Show. My name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Todd Billionaire Billy